Welcome back to the Gridiron Soapbox, and we're going to hit you today with another scouting report video. And in this video, we're going to take a look at Jake Fromm, quarterback from the University of Georgia. Now, Fromm has been on the scene for a couple years now, came into Georgia as a freshman and started and led them to the national championship game and had a pretty solid sophomore campaign this past year, finishing with 2,749 yards, 30 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. So he had a pretty solid year. Fromm is listed as a top 3 quarterback on a lot of experts' draft boards. And in this video, we're just going to take a look at Fromm, check out some of the positives and negatives, and give some general thoughts about his game. Now, Fromm has been the guy, been an SEC champion, played in bowl games, so he has a ton of experience for such a young player. Relatively young player, so that's very valuable, that's very important, and he's going into his 3rd full season as a starter, so that's really important stuff there. As far as his physical traits, Jake Fromm, he's a pretty average sized quarterback, I'd say, above average, standing at about 6'2", 225 pounds, so he's not the biggest guy, a little bit on the shorter side, I'd say, but I don't think there will be any issues as far as his frame, as far as his height. I don't think there will be any questions about that and whether he can play from that aspect. Now, as far as positives of Jake Fromm, he really looks to operate within that offense very effectively, gets the ball out really quickly and can process information really quickly. He also doesn't make a ton of mistakes. As I mentioned before, he only had 6 interceptions on the year this past season, and he's not a guy that's a big-time risk taker. He's going to make the right play, run the offense effectively, and do what he's supposed to do. Now, I wouldn't say Fromm has the strongest arm. He has a pretty solid arm, though. He won't wow you with overpowering passes or, just slinging it all across the field with a ton of velocity. But he does have enough arm strength and velocity to get the ball where it needs to be. I think he is a lot more accurate than his arm is strong. He shows really good accuracy, especially in the short and intermediate zones. Not so much downfield. He's not taking a ton of shots downfield from what I've seen, but overall he has pretty good accuracy. First thing that stood out to me as far as Fromm's negatives is the fact that he's not a very athletic or mobile guy. He seems to be a true pocket passer, and he's not a guy that's going to get outside of the pocket. He's more of a guy that's going to be a sitting duck in the pocket. And, I mean, you can get by with that, but I personally prefer a guy that's able to move around a little bit, able to extend plays when things break down in the pocket. And Fromm just doesn't seem to be that guy. Jake Fromm just seems not to do anything spectacular really on the field. He seems to be just another guy, kind of similar to Daniel Jones coming out last year. They did all the right things, made all the right plays, didn't make a ton of mistakes, but as far as looking for that spectacular play or making that big play, it doesn't seem like Fromm is that guy that does that. He just goes out there, does what he's supposed to do, and there's room for that. That's not an issue. But when we're talking about the top guys at the position coming out in the draft, or the top guys in the NFL, those are guys that are special. Those are guys that are making spectacular plays when their team needs it. And I just don't see Jake Fromm as that guy. In my opinion, he's a really solid quarterback. I think he'll have a tremendous season. But as far as being one of the top players coming out in this draft class, I just don't see it with Jake Fromm. Solid quarterback, solid player, does all the right things, but he's not a guy that's coming in and changing the fortunes of a franchise. He just seems to be another guy, if you ask me.